Well, it is time to clean up the yard and get ready for final grade. We've got a lot of miscellaneous things to take care of. We've got a wood pile back here. We've got to move to the back of the house, grade out all the dirt around the house, get the slope just right, break in all the edges, clean up all the brush at the tree line. Just a whole lot of stuff we're going to take care of. And unfortunately, what's on the tractor right now is definitely not the right stuff. So I think we're just going to, well, now that we've got the right attachments on there, we can actually get to work. So the construction rock behind me, which we used to get the house built for when the heavy trucks are coming in, all the major big trucks that come in through here, it's pretty much done at this point. So we basically need to get this loose, and we're going to go ahead and use it for fill underneath where the concrete slab is going to go in the back and in the front. Minus running the compactor on this, we're pretty close. I'm going to just measure it real quick and make sure we're where we need to be. So the front of this is 22 feet wide. We're going to go 22 feet out. Walkway going up to the house. Unfortunately, I can't get my tractor up by the doorway, so I'm going to have to hand shovel that, and that is a lot of hand shoveling. This isn't the ideal way to do this, by the way. The ideal way to do this is with a plate compactor, or a jumping jack, or even a hand tamper. But I don't happen to have any of those out here. And I'm going to get rid of this 2 more lifts just like this, so that when I show up, it's just that much less I have to do the next day. We're in the front of the house right now. We're at the entrance of the driveway. We've got the gravel down, so this is 1.25 inches minus all the way up to the concrete. And then we've got the rain garden, so there's a whole separate video all about that. But the rain garden's in and established. The plants have been here now for a couple of months. So it's into the rainy season. As you can see, it's kind of overcast today. We watered that throughout the summer and got those plants established. And this was required in order to get our move-in permit issued by the county. So you have to have the soil amendment county inspector come out and validate that this is all done correctly. And once it is, he signs off, and then you can move on to the next step. As far as the gravel on the driveway goes, we have to make sure that this maintains a slope towards the rain garden, so there's a small trench on the right-hand side, my right-hand side, I guess, at this point, that catches the water and directs it into the rain garden. So we're going to go ahead and go discuss some of the final dirt work around the sides of this. So behind me to my right would be your left is the drain field, and you can see there's wildflowers on it. We had to establish the vegetation on the drain field in order to get through the final inspection for the health district. In her case, she did wildflowers and watered them and got them established, and you can see that it actually turned out really nice, and it more blends in with the natural vegetation versus putting grass up there where you would have to mow it. There is sort of a defined line between where the slope of the house is at and association with the brush line, but you will see that in the video I really pull all the dead debris out of the brush line and get it cleaned up, and I slope all the banks as much as possible to not disturb roots on existing trees. That's one of the things that I highly recommend you do before you move in, because if you don't do it, it's just really difficult to get it done later on. If you're not doing your dirt work yourself and you're paying somebody, it's something I would recommend asking them to do, is to clean out the brush line. But overall, the slope meets all the requirements. So the minimum requirement is you have to have a 10% slope, I believe it is, 10 feet out from the house. The other thing is I made sure I backfilled right up against the edge of the house, so that's nice and clean line. Let's go take a look at the back. All right, let's discuss a couple obvious things behind you. One, you'll see that there's solar panels on the roof. I personally had nothing to do with that. The homeowner really wanted solar, and she had it installed. Personally don't know anything about it, I gotta be honest with you. It's something she wanted and she had done, and hopefully it works out. I suspect it will for her and how she wants to utilize that system. You'll see a bunch of wooden posts that are in the ground behind me. She's getting some dogs here shortly, and she wanted a fenced off area right next to the patio, or she's putting up a fence. And over to the right, you'll see the black plastic. That is what's left of clearing the house site, the branches and debris and stumps that came from taking down the rest of the trees in order to support solar and a couple other things. And basically, we're waiting until the rains really get here, and that black plastic keeps that burn pile nice and dry. But you can see the final grade behind me overall. Everything slopes away from the house, away from the final grade patio down, and we've got everything so it shouldn't really puddle anywhere in the yard, and it should maintain a really nice gradual slope away from the house all the way through the yard to the outside edges of the brush to really keep the yard dry during the wet season. Let's go take a look at the other side. All right. This sort of highlights what I was discussing as far as pulling the dead and miscellaneous debris that builds up during the construction along the brush line. I've pulled almost all the dead debris out of here with the grapple bucket, and I'm going to put it in the burn pile. The natural vegetation will start to encroach a little bit back in here and take over a little bit, and it'll look really nice and cleaned up that way. That way you don't have this kind of ugly dead crap all stuck into your bushes. Once again, this highlights the slope away from the house to maintain all the water running away from the house. This is in Western Washington, so it rains a lot here, and we get lots of water and buildup. And that final grade, getting the water away from the house, really has a huge impact overall before the final inspection happens, because they'll fail you on the final inspection if the slope of the dirt is not proper and meets technical requirements for your final. There are a couple items behind me that are left over. So we have a wood pile of miscellaneous lumber left over from the build, stuff that she'll be able to use however she'd like to. Eventually, she's probably going to have some sort of wood storage shed over here, which is all those logs left over from the tree removals will be split up and put over here next to the house, so she's able to get to that stuff quickly. Farther back, you'll see we have what was the old pump house. She wanted to keep that and use that as a small storage area, so she's got some miscellaneous tools and some other items in there. And you can kind of see definitely on the ground all this green. This is clover. The county requires that you amend the soil in Pierce County, in Kitsap County also, which is where I built. So basically we had to bring in 4 10-yard dump truck loads of organic compost, which is basically cow manure, chicken manure, mixed into some really sifted out fine topsoil. They bring that in, you spread it evenly out throughout all of the disturbed soil areas, and you rototill it in. Unfortunately, I didn't film the rototilling of that dirt in, but what you're looking at is actually amended soil. everything that has this nice green carpet of clover on it. So basically we spread it all out and we rototilled it in, and we had to show receipts, or she had to show receipts to the county in order to get her final movement permit to validate that she had done this. The other thing I wanted to kind of discuss real quick is the trees. You can see this is a heavily treed area. When I removed a lot of the trees, and then she ended up having a company come in and remove some other trees, we really focused on making sure that all hazard trees, anything that was dying or dead or leaning towards the house or had a potential of hitting the house if a huge windstorm came in, we took them down. We took all those danger trees out. That way it just gives her peace of mind, and it definitely potentially stops any major catastrophe from happening to her brand new house, which is something I really highly recommend. So that's pretty much going to wrap up the final grade on the dirt work and my thoughts on how things should be done. By all means, there are lots of other people out there with lots of other ways of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with any of those. This is just how I have learned to do it, and the things that I focus on when I'm getting ready for final grade. Getting those brush cleaned out, getting the concrete done, getting the final grade slope away from the house really are the necessary things to have it be visually appealing and functional when you go to move in. And you'll just be glad in the long run that you did those extra couple items before you moved in, or right at the exact time you're moving in, to really get you that final appearance that you're probably looking for. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you definitely got something out of this. Definitely check out the rest of the videos here. I'll have the house series of videos, my tractor series of videos, and definitely hit that subscribe button. It always helps me out in the long run. Until next time, thanks for watching.